sorry for their loss as well.
Cheers.
I suppose we just spoke how strong martial arts were and the influence of their parents, and like due to that loss, what was the key change that actually kind of crippled you? Like, was it just?
I reckon, looking back on it, like we just spoke about, the oppression.
Yeah.
More kind of, I think when he passed, I was kind of there for everyone else. Again, that kind of macho man approach.
Yeah.
I'm fine. When you're not really, like, you know what I mean? Of course. So yeah, I kind of didn't deal with it at the time, just put up a wall. But then I didn't have any of, so that was the layer of the table. But then I didn't keep any of the legs under the table that I should have, like my kickboxing, talking to people, just physical activity in general, you know. So when I built all that up, I kicked all those legs out underneath me as well, you know.
Yeah.
So that just made for a hurricane, like. Yeah, so I didn't have any of those bases. So I think just reintroducing those bases bit by bit, and again, an incredible family behind me that helped me through it, and friends. But yeah, I think the main thing was getting the things back in my life that gave me purpose.
Yeah.
And martial arts was a big one, like, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, because as myself, I value my friends over anything, drawn
Yeah.
with what to the end of the world for my friends, Jock.
100%, yeah.
And I suppose I can relate small bit, but not fully, that like something happens to your friend like that, you take a heavy blow and you kind of take kind of some self responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, like should have kind of winged it, but
Yeah.
no one can take that on themselves either.
No.
It's a terrible battle. It's a battle internally that you have to fight.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but as you said, it kind of made you who you are now today, so there's a positive out of it.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people, when it comes to situations like that, they focus on the negatives.
100%, yeah. And it's easy to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easy to focus on those negatives, but yeah, I had a couple of good chats now with my father and stuff, and just one day something just clicked with me. So Mike passed away in the September 2017. I went down kind of till Christmas time that year, severely overweight, and by November 2018 I was world champion again. So it was just like I said a while ago, you just got to redirect that energy somewhere, like, and if you put your energy somewhere, magic's going to happen, like.
100%, because I suppose why I brought that up was there's a lot of social injustices and issues, even housing, currently housing at the moment, and a lot of people in society feel powerless, that they can't change it, and it's leading to a lot of mental health, suicide, marriage breakdowns, relationship breakdowns, and just for me looking at it from the outside in, it's, yeah, you can say that it's because of housing, but for me looking at it, it's that feeling of emotion, of powerless, and not being able to do anything about it is actually the trigger for people.
100%, yeah.
So that kind of challenging that emotion into something positive.
Absolutely, yeah.
That could actually make it positive. I know it's not going to change people's situations.
No, completely. But it can but help. You know what I mean? Like you said, people's situations are their situations anyway.
Yeah.
So thinking negatively, or taking it out on the people closest to you, isn't going to benefit you in any way. Like,
I think it plays into the Irish psyche too, though, that when we were oppressed by the British for so long, we were an oppressed nation.
I know you probably have an opinion or two on that.
Yeah, and I suppose when I look at issues that are affecting the globe, and it's global issues, housing, health, everything, people are willing to take to the streets a lot more, and then it's more, let's have it, fucking take these like police on, and we're a nation of timid people that seem to bottle it. Not bottle it, just bottle the emotion in.
100%.
And that's where I find it quite interesting to see somebody who's trained in martial arts who expresses that, I suppose, aggression maybe, or anger in a controlled manner. Living in a society where them actions or that personal traits is maybe shunned upon.
100%, yeah, I get what you're saying,
Yeah, because like, you even think about the recession, bailing out the banks, everything, like, there hasn't been any social mass movement of actually, instead of shouting and marching down the street, actually taking action and making real change. Like,
whereas, and like you said, that's the Irish psyche, I suppose. Like, it's with anything in life now, with the whole banking crisis and housing and all that stuff, you'd know better than me with your kind of little bit of a political background, but you can say the same with anything, like in life, and I'm sure we've both been guilty of it as well. But you know, that whole like behind doors, oh, fuck's sake, giving out about something, but then when it comes to it, you don't do anything about it. You know what I mean? And you're right. That's just the Irish way. That's the way we're brought up. I think with the younger generation coming through and stuff, you can see it as well. I think there will be change. But I think we're definitely still stuck to a degree in that psyche.
Like what I find interesting is, as a culture and a race of people, we express our disobedience or protest mainly through music, and it's you know.
Yeah, 100%.
The emotion, like you go to an Irish pub there and people are crying over Ride On.
Yeah.
What the fuck is it? It's about a horse.
There are a few jars in at that stage as well, like, but yeah, it's because that's accepted, you know.
Yeah. And you know, for young people growing up now, like, what's your view on like the expression of foot? People would say violence, on the street fighting or something.
You can actually see it, Stu, to be honest. It is getting worse, like. Now, it probably does have a lot to do with people's psyches due to the lockdown, like you said, the oppression and building up that frustration of but not being able to do anything. And again, I know I've said a few times, but it just comes back to energy again. Like young kids now have alcohol, drugs available to them more than they ever had. And they've got all this energy built up and nowhere to put it, like. And like I said, it has to go somewhere, like. Or people, it's just like a kettle on a stove, like it's just gonna blow its lid, like, you know what I mean? If something isn't done about it. So it's just either the government or like role models in society, or anyone at all for that matter that can help kind of direct and redirect energy for the positive for kids. I think there needs to be more available to the youths out there, 100%.
But like, I know I'm kind of a fan of Conor McGregor. Personally, I don't really like him, but I actually value his presence in society to a point where people know him fucking kill me for this, but he's there kind of saying, right, this is the way I am, just the way I talk, and if you don't like me or whatever, like that whole thing of you get what you see.
100%, yeah.
I think that's very important for people at the moment.
Big time.
And when we talk about even martial arts, it gives you the confidence of, okay, I can hurt somebody. Well, not hurt somebody, I can defend myself with my fist, right? And I think the younger generation these days haven't had that ability to explore how to use their body as a form of defence. So now we're just having people battling and stabbing each other, and it's not because they want it. I think it's actually out of fear. Like,
it's to prove something, and it mightn't even be to themselves. Like I said, it's to prove something to their friends or whoever, and then it's insecurities. Like, it's more like if I bottle someone or stab someone or beat someone up with a group of friends, I'll be seen in a certain way, so I'll be left alone. Do you know what I mean? So it's nearly to just protect themselves, you know.
100%. It's fight or flight.
100%, yeah.
If you're going to fight and you have someone who's insecure and frightened, they're going and they're carrying a knife with them, they're going to use the knife. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I take a kind of a weird approach where if we actually allowed maybe the ability for young people to slap the head off each other, and out of frustration and as a healthy manner, because we frown upon it in society if there's two young fellas or two young ones hitting or slapping each other in an uncontrolled environment. Where I look at it, I actually see it, that's healthy. Like, we all came from cavemen, we all have reptile parts of our brain.
It's evolution.
We still have reptile aspects of our brain, like, so it's natural, you know, but it's frowned upon. Where we were speaking, and I'd like to see your point of view, is the same people who would frown upon it on the street are the ones then who stay up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning
and watching it in the cage,
watching the cage and
or
the
ring,
paying fees to watch it, and they're buzzing off it. Like, I suppose from you being in that environment of fighting competitively competitions, can you see a difference from maybe someone hitting someone on the street? Is it the same psyche? Is it the same mentality, or is there actually a difference between it?
See, to me personally,
Yeah.
there is, because I would look at MMA or kickboxing or boxing or whatever it is that you said that people stay up to watch. I look at that from a pure competitive standpoint, but that's just a competitor in me. Like even to touch on Conor McGregor there a second ago, I may not agree with all his usual aspects of his life and his actions and that kind of stuff, but I look at the competitor in him, how hard he works in the gym, clearly, the marketing genius that he clearly is, like the king of mental warfare. I just look at those traits. So in the ring or on a mat like I do, or in the cage, I look at it from a competitive point of view, and the people that are paying to watch those things, like you said, there's still that little bit of reptilian in the brain that it goes back to like Roman times, the Colosseum, the gladiators. Like people want to see it. Like they do. People want to see that, whether it be from a competitive point of view, or that would be just me or other fighters. But I suppose from an entertainment point of view, but there definitely is a thing through evolution where people want to see, whether they admit it or not, that violence or that spectacle of two people
going on.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I think it is like you said, it's in all of us. Like yeah.
But how does it differ then for being on the street?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I suppose. I think that we live in a society where when it's controlled, like we said, and we're in the ring, you're seen as this. You're putting your energy towards something to be greater. So like there's a purpose behind it. So like in the ring or in a cage, you're doing that to be better than the person in front of you, or to be better than anyone in the world in your weight class. Whereas on the street, yes, people might be frustrated and looking for an outlet for energy, but there's no real purpose or benefit to it, you know? Whereas there's a greater outcome and reward from doing it from a competitive standpoint, in my opinion. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I suppose I look at people when they're watching the bouts or the fights, it releases. They actually express their anger towards the telly. So they pick one person, and it's like some psychological twist where somehow in their own brain, the person fighting is them.
They're like living through that person?
Through the screen. And they're fucking throwing their arms around the place, they're screaming, they're shouting. And you're going, what the fuck, man? Like this is coming from somewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're fucking shadow boxing there, and the missus is like, what the fuck?
Sit down on the couch.
You dumb ass, and the popcorn are fucking playing, and their beer bottles are fucking up there.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, and the way I look at it is, I think some clever fucker years ago figured out if we can make a tournament or some structure to the want of violence and the expression of violence, it's a great industry to make a lot of money, and at the same time then we criminalise it in society. Yeah,
like it's only growing now from an entertainment point of view, like MMA, boxing. It's only getting bigger. Like now I know they talk about things back in the day, like when you had like Muhammad Ali, and then you go forward and you had Mike Tyson, go forward again you had Mayweather, those golden eras that are now gone. But I think now boxing's only getting bigger, like MMA, like if you look at the amount of kids out there now that are doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, Thai boxing, kickboxing, it's becoming more acceptable now. And like you said, I think a lot of the stuff you're seeing on the streets now with kids and violence and bottles and knives and guns and everything that's going on, has a lot to do with the lockdowns, completely, and a lot of frustration. But there is also, on the flip side, there's always two sides to the coin. There is a lot of kids out there now as well, that, probably with the help of their parents as well, that are bringing that energy to the forefront in a positive way, through, like I said, the martial arts and whatever discipline that may be of it. Like
Yeah, because you mentioned Muhammad Ali, and I was actually going to raise Muhammad Ali, and I suppose go back to the boxing scene back then.
Mm-hmm.
I